Don't get a Ph.D. Seriously, don't do it. I'm looking at you. Now, full disclosure, I have a Ph.D., so you might be thinking to yourself, what kind of hypocritical doublespeak is this? And all I can say to that is, hey, it's an election year, so get used to it. So I'm Greg Holt. I'm a Terry alumnus from UT. And back in the late 90s, I was sitting where you are today. Well, not literally, of course. I was in Austin, but you get the idea. There you go. Not that much difference anyway. Longhorns and Cougars, right? Longhorns just a Cougar, lost a finger. Or if you like, Cougar's a Longhorn who's giving you a rude gesture. Take your pick. There we go. Anyway, so I survived the harrowing near-death experience known as the Terry interview, and I was ready to go out and conquer the world. So I went to undergrad engineering, and somewhere along in there, a professor spoke to us, a bunch of us, about this wonderful thing called graduate school. And to hear him describe it, boy, you'd think it was all sitting around and drinking Earl Grey tea all day, discussing the finer points of mathematics in an oak-paneled room, with a adoring public waiting just outside the door, breathlessly to glean the latest pearl of wisdom from your genius. Funny, he left out the part about the ramen noodles, the all-nighters, and the impossible deadlines. I'm not sure why. Okay, well, I was a Terry scholar, so I was blessed to have a debt-free undergrad education, so it was top ramen for me. Thank you very much. But back to the point. I submit that professor, though well-intentioned, really did a disservice by talking up grad school in such vaulted terms. And I do get this question as well from time to time from undergrads. Should I go to grad school and get a Ph.D.? And most of the time I don't know them any better than I know most of you, so I'm about as useful as a trapdoor in a canoe. So I take this very simple approach that I'm going to take with you today, and I try to talk them out of it. And because there's a few good reasons to go to grad school, and a whole lot of bad reasons. And bad reasons, of course, being less intimidating when you visualize them as a cute puppy, but I digress. Let's go over a few of those. I'm smart. Just because you're smart doesn't mean that more schools answer your problems. Any more that you should run a marathon just because you can put one foot in front of the other. The ability to do a thing doesn't always mean that you should. Okay, softball question here. Who here got their first smartphone when you were 10 or less? 10 years old or less? 11? 12?
Define smartphone. Internet.
We'll say, how about a smart device? Tablet, anything like that. 10, 11?
What, 13, teenager?
Teenager? All right, who got their first electronic device when they were 5 or less? There we go.
Got a game.
Video game, yeah.
Oh, Game Boy.
Oh, yeah, okay. There we go. Awesome. Yeah, that's fair, and my 3-year-old's better at Candy Crush than I am too, so, you know, that's, it gets younger and younger. All right, well, here's another softball question. You just think this in your head. Where were you, what were you doing 5 years ago? Did you have any idea that you would be here today doing this? So 4 or 5 years is a non-trivial amount of time. It makes a lot of difference. And now think, who really wants to spend an extra 4, 5, or 10 years in school when you've already been at it for 3/4 of your life, and let's be honest, the first quarter didn't count because you didn't have your iPhone yet. So grad school is definitely not for everyone. Only about 1.7% of the U.S. population has PhDs, and so that means statistically only about maybe 1/2 of one person in this room is going to attempt this, is going to do this foolish thing anyway. The other half a person, I guess presumably being the even more pitiful soul that starts and doesn't finish. But I know this is no ordinary cross-section either of the population, so there's probably a few more of you who are thinking about doing this, but don't do it. Really, people, how many times do I have to tell you this? Don't do it. It's not like you're going to get rich or anything. Payscale.com shows you're not going to make substantially more money than someone who has comparable experience and a master's degree or even a bachelor's degree. Believe me, watching my classmates get higher paying jobs with bachelor's and master's degrees definitely made me wonder if I was a few sandwiches short of a picnic. But that's another one of those bad reasons. Maybe let's see. There we go. Maybe you're thinking, I'll get fame and notoriety. Well, I'm pretty sure I haven't seen any of the networks begging for the next episode of The Real Ph.D.s of Beverly Hills, or keeping up with the researchers. You're far more likely to just end up becoming smarter and smarter, learning more and more about less and less until you become the world expert in a field no one cares about. Again, another one of those bad reasons. But I mentioned there is a good reason to go to grad school, so let's talk about that for just a second. Don't think about what you want to do, think about why. And that's really the key, so let me say it again. Don't think about what you want to do, think about why. The answer to that question opened my eyes. And I think a lot more people, if they honestly ask themselves that question, they reconsider a lot of the decisions in their life. And if the why for you can't be satisfied without an advanced degree, well, then you've already won the battle, and the rest is just details. Honestly, even the workplace, that'll get you leaps and bounds ahead of everyone else if you answer that question honestly. Ask an astronaut, for example. What do you want to do? Go to Mars. Why? Well, I saw this movie once about this guy with a bunch of potatoes. It looked fun. Nice what, not a very impressive what. Now, how about testing the limits of science, technology, and curiosity, the intangible desire to explore and challenge the boundaries of what we know and where we've been? Now, there's a why. For me, as well, it was the why that clinched it. I wanted to be on the cutting edge of research and development because I felt so passionate about human space exploration. And I knew enough to know I didn't know enough to lead the way in that effort. So the prospect of getting to take part in that kind of grand adventure of exploring the far reaches of creation with human eyes and hands, that was very motivating, much more so than just, I want job title X or salary Y. And with that underlying impulse, no one could present a bad enough horror story to prevent me from wanting to pursue a Ph.D. So let me tell you my story of grad school. I saw countless classmates who would burn out, drop out, bail out of place, out of gas, because they weren't motivated by anything more than just vague ambition or some flashy job title. The courses were extremely challenging. The oral exams made the Terry interview seem pale in comparison. And it tested every ounce of support from friends, family, faith, and ultimately your motivation. It was all the more important to stay grounded in the why you were there. Even after I graduated, I had to take a leap of faith. I moved to Houston without a job, and I had to live on a wing and a prayer, hoping that I'd get an offer. That's really glamorous, huh? Don't try this at home, I'm an expert, remember? I literally came to NASA with a stack of resumes under my arm and just started working every connection I could think of. So eventually, of course, I did get hired on at NASA, and I did get to do some cool stuff. I got to work in mission control for 8 space shuttle missions, and now I'm the navigation system lead for the new Orion spacecraft. Some of you may know that's the next-gen vehicle that's going to carry humans further than we've ever been before. And it's a perfect fit for that motivation you heard me talk about before. But I'm not a celebrity. I'm not even a celebrity scientist. I live comfortably, but I'm certainly not rich either, and that's okay. None of that bothers me because the why is more important to me than the what. And I get to work with incredibly talented and motivated individuals, a vast majority of whom don't have PhDs, by the way. And they would have been miserable in grad school, and they probably would have never ended up in jobs that they enjoy so much today. So now you know, and you understand why I've tried to convince you not to do it. And if you're thinking about it for the wrong reasons, then the best favor I can do for you is to try to talk you out of it. And if you've got the right motivation, then no amount of convincing on my part is going to change your mind, and so you're probably the rare exception that does need to do it. But hopefully I've talked most of you out of this foolishness, so to you I say thank you. And the rest of you, there's some who are already thinking about how you're going to ignore my advice. And to you I say, good luck, but I told you so. Thanks. I'll take any questions you get.